Before we begin, I want to announce that we had an executive session prior to the meeting to discuss litigation related to Sunoco as well as some personnel issues. And with that, we move on to the approval of the minutes from the meeting on August 12th, 2019.
I'll make a motion to approve the August 12th, 2019 minutes.
I second it.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. I move on to the reports. First up, please.
Good evening. For the month of August 2019, the police department officers documented 969 incidents in the police department call reporting system. I was able to identify 648 of those entries as incidents wherein someone was specifically requesting the services of the police department only. During the month, the officers issued 183 traffic citations. They investigated 29 traffic crashes and they arrested 21 individuals. Additionally, for the month of August, the department members conducted 2 motor carrier details at the way station off of 100. And during that time, they resulting in 790 trucks being weighed, 6 of which were found to be overweight. They conducted 8 federal motor carrier inspections and performed an additional 25 inspections throughout the month as well, as they're trying to continue to get their inspections done for their certifications. Those resulted in 4 trucks and 2 drivers being placed out of service. Year to date, the officers have weighed 6,478 federal motor carrier vehicles, finding 43 of them to be overweight. They've to date put 20 trucks and 7 of their drivers out of service. And to date, the officers have issued 1,380 traffic citations, 319 written warnings, and we've arrested 120 individuals.
Judge's report.
For the month of August in the general fund, we have collected just over 77% of our budgeted revenues and spent just a little over 70% of our budgeted expenditures.
Public works.
For the month of August, the daily average flow of the downtown treatment plant was about 1.4 million gallons per day. The township received about 2.25 inches of rain, which is the first time in, gosh, maybe a year now that we've been under what's normal for this time of month. So the township's still about 14.5 inches above average for the year, but hopefully that helps with some of the stormwater issues that we've been seeing. The Public Works Department did perform some nighttime sanitary flow inspections, and this was to look for areas where stormwater may be getting into our sewer system. They performed a good deal of catch basin repair as well as repairing some blacktop around catch basins due to some of the wear and tear from the stormwater. The department also oiled and shipped portions of Lionel Station Road and Ballanfords Road as well as performed maintenance to try and get any accessory rocks out of the way so that they're no longer on the road. And the department performed 138 day home calls as well as daily station checks, weekly meter checks, and routine vehicle maintenance.
Thank you. Barbara Marshall.
Yes, for the month, I responded to 14 fire calls, had 1 open burning complaint, had 1 fire investigation, and continue to review the plans of commercial building projects and inspect those under construction. And also, as the school year is starting, we are scheduling fire prevention programs at all the schools.
Great. Thank you. For the fire company.
Fire company for the month, there were 29 responses in Uwchlan, 8 in Upper Uwchlan, 5 in West Pikeman, and 4 in other townships for a total of 46 for the month of August.
And finally, the Uwchlan ambulance.
Uwchlan ambulance. For the month of August, we had 329 calls, 89 of which were in Township of Uwchlan. Year to date, we are at 2,572.
Thank you. Make a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to accept the reports as presented.
I second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh yeah, just you know, remind me just to let you know that we are recording the meeting, and the meetings from our camera in the back of the room will be posted on YouTube within a few days of the end of the meeting. All right, and Curtis Miller from the U.S. Representative Chrissy Houlihan's office has asked for 5 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. My name is Curtis Miller. I'm a constituent advocate for Representative Chrissy Uwchlan, so I'm in the Westchester office. And Chrissy just wants to go around to all the township, borough, and city council meetings in the district to introduce herself and her staff, and offer the resources that her offices provide. I see on the agenda it says a legislative update, so in the district we don't do so much legislative work. If you do want to know about the legislation that Chrissy is pushing, I was only able to bring one because the last township meeting wanted quite a few, but this has all of our contact information on it, and you can inquire about the legislation that we're working on. So Chrissy has opened 2 district offices in the 6th district, one in Reading and one in Westchester. The 6th district, after redistricting, is all of Chester County and the southern portion of Berks counties. So in those district offices we have currently 5, about to be 6 constituent advocates and a district director who work on a range of issues ranging from USCIS and State Department cases, which I work, as well as Medicare cases. We have a constituent advocate who handles Social Security, another one who handles IRS, helping people get access to their tax returns that may be bound up in the system. And through all of this casework, we've helped constituents gain access to over $800,000 of money that was theirs, but that was kind of held up in government systems, whether that was getting access to VA benefits that they were having issues with, or Medicare disability insurance, or your IRS tax returns. So we've helped constituents do all of that through Chrissy's network, contacts in the executive agencies. In addition to all of our casework, we are able to write support letters for grant applications. So if there's anything that you have a pipeline that you're considering for development, we're able to help you with that. Through that, we have had some success in helping constituents bring $2.9 million into the district for research and development through these grant support letters. So Chrissy really wants to make sure that all the work she's doing in DC is driven from the district and from what the district wants and needs. So does anyone have any questions for me, board? Well, again, I'm sorry that I only have one, but they really wanted, a lot of people wanted these, so I will leave this. Anyone get the
Sure.
Okay, so this is all of our contact information. Again, I apologize. For all 3 of our offices, DC would be your best bet if you want to talk about legislation, because that's where they're doing the legislation. But if you need help with a federal agency, we're here to help, and that would be our Westchester or our Reading office. So I'll leave this here, and thank you very much for your time.
Great, thank you, Chris.
And we'll leave it there. You can take a picture with your phone too. Thank you. All right, next we're here from Muriel Kennedy from the County Counseling Center.
I'll make an introduction as well. I was here last month, as you know, with DARC, and through my work, I've been on the Park and Rec Board for 35 years approximately, and through my work with Doug Hanley, I met Muriel and became involved in the Senior Center. So we are reaching out to the different boroughs and townships that we service to make sure that they know we are here, to reintroduce ourselves, and so I'll introduce Muriel Kennedy, our Executive Director.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. Yes, thanks for the opportunity. We always believe that we have to go out and tell people about our existence, because senior centers is not something everybody thinks about all the time. However, they're as important as preschool and schools and libraries. And what we do is we service 15 townships in addition to the borough of Downtown, and we try to reach out and go to the townships once a year at least. We have basically 3 areas we cover. One is nutrition, one is activities and programs and classes, and the third one is information and assistance. So we provide a warm lunch every day for the seniors, and breakfast as well. But the lunch is a very important program. It's supported by the Department of Aging. We actually have a contract with them, and they're partially funded by the Department of Aging. For that, we have to provide a warm lunch because many seniors don't cook for themselves anymore. We provide exercise classes that includes also wellness classes, which are to Tai Chi and yoga and different various kind of dance exercises, balance practices, and all sorts of classes that are tailored towards seniors. And then the third category is because I would say the majority of our clients, so to speak, of our seniors, do need some help. They don't have children who support them and lead them through the paperwork and so forth. So it's a very important function that we take very seriously. Another very important aspect of the senior center is the opportunity for volunteering. We provide volunteer opportunity for other seniors, for anybody really, and we have volunteers on a regular basis from schools, from corporations who come and help in various areas. So that is something that which I would ask for at the end is that you cooperate with us, that we can maybe on your website as a link. So we always want people to find us also for volunteering, very important. Without volunteers, we would not be in business at all. So the majority is done with very small staff and volunteers. And what I would like to say is at the end, I want to put on, the reason why townships are so crucial and we need to address the townships is because, or the municipalities, is because, for example, we have 110 people from Uwchlan Township. So these are citizens, and the townships take care of bridges and roads and kids and people with disability and all sorts of aspects of a community. The seniors are there, and there will be more, and we all have parents and grandparents, and we cannot forget them. And if every township gives just a little bit, that will help very, very far. Keeping up the services that we provide.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to the next item, which is authorization to advertise snow removal bid.
So last month, we asked for permission to advertise for the snow bid. We did place those ads in the Daily Local on August 21st and August 28th, with a bid opening date of September 6th. However, no bids were received, so we are asking permission to re-advertise.
I'll make a motion to authorize bid to advertise snow removal.
I'll second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Moving on to the Marshall Shopping Center request for a classic car event from 12 p.m. Oh, I skipped the bonfire, my fault. I'll step back. The Downtown East bonfire request for Thursday, October 3rd, 2019.
Okay, that's an annual event that they have up there, and I guess it's probably getting close to the 10th year for that bonfire. And they contact us, and the fire department builds the bonfire and then oversees when we light it, and then when it's done, we make sure everything's out.
Everything the same this year?
That's the same as every year, so never been a problem.
Great.
I've got teenagers in the school district, and it's a really fun event. It leads up to the big East-West game. So, in transparency, I'm rooting for East. I'm rooting. So I'll make a motion to approve the Downtown East bonfire event. Okay, I second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Now we move to the Marshall Shopping Center request for classic car events from 12 to 4 p.m. on September 22nd, with the rain date on September 29th, on October 20th, with the rain date of October 29th, and November 17th, with the rain date of November 20th. So this is a recurring event. No, the right behind me.
Oh, okay.
So, if you don't have anything to add, or just it's the same as. Okay.
Are you looking to have this on a monthly basis going forward?
Yes.
Even during the winter months, or just?
No.
Just 3 the end of this year.
We start like in November, and then we pick up in March.
And so you, and then next year, like you'll have another series you're planning?
Yeah, and we'll see.
I'm happy to approve the events as long as there haven't been any complaints from the businesses. I mean, I'm guessing that it draws business to the Marshall Shopping Center.
Did I get any complaints?
Yeah, I'm just saying that I'm happy to approve the events as long as nobody is complaining about, you know, the events in the,
I have yet to get any complaints.
and you've talked to the other businesses.
Yes,
and-
ma'am. Yes, so. I've been there 26 years, so.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion to approve the events for the rest of the year for the Marshwood Shopping Center, classic car events.
I'll second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Approved. Move to the Pickering Valley Farm and Feed request for outdoor fall illumination displays.
Yes. So, every year we always have to come and ask for permission to put our plants out for sale in the spring. At the last meeting where we got that approval, apparently they decided we needed to have a further permission to put plants out for pumpkins, Christmas trees, that sort of thing, from now through the end of the year. So that's our purpose for being here. One of the questions I had in the letter was, after being there for 2 decades, doing this for 2 decades, and noticing that one of our competitors was allowed to move in and put up a permanent structure, I was wondering what we need to do to facilitate that change.
Well, for now, we can directly respond to your request for the rest of this year. What I'd say is you could work with Tara about what would be required for making this permanent and go for the back for that's probably not perfect to do that right now in this meeting, but yeah, she knows all the requirements and we can discuss what would need to be done. Is that okay? Yeah. All right, great.
And then as far as an end date for this sale?
Christmas.
Christmas?
Yeah, Christmas trees are pretty much done after that.
Okay, great. So, that's okay. There's 12 days of Christmas. I will make a motion to approve the request for outdoor fall winter display at Pickering Valley Farm and Feed through Christmas.
I'll second. Any comments or questions? All right, all in favor? Aye. Moving on to the Christian Brothers Automotive preliminary at 399 West Keepin Avenue, a preliminary final land development plan submission.
Yes, I received the preliminary final land development plan last week on Friday for the construction of an approximately 6,000 square foot automotive building on the corner of Peck Road and 113 on the empty lot that I'm sure everybody is familiar with. Christian Brothers has been through the schedule plan process. They've been through the conditional use process. They've also been to the zoning hearing board for variance. They're requesting permission to proceed as preliminary / final. Normally we do get a recommendation from the planning commission for that prior to the submission. However, we did not have a planning commission meeting last week. So I would say as long as the planning commission does make their recommendation at the October meeting, which would be prior to the next supervisors meeting, there shouldn't be an issue with that. This is really just a submission to send out the plans for review.
I'll make a motion to approve the request to proceed as preliminary final for Christian Brothers Automotive, contingent on the recommendation from the planning commission.
I second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Moving on to the Hagen Group's request for extension of land development planning until April 20th for the Eagle View Lot 58.
Yes, I received an email from Bill Fisher
I'll make a motion to approve the request for rebuilding lot 58 for the extension until April 15th, 2020.
Second that.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Moving on to the conditional use decision for the 188 Sherry Boulevard Adult Daycare.
Last month, after the regular supervisors meeting, there was a conditional use hearing, August 12th, for Workspace Property Trust, who is the owner of 180 Sherry Boulevard. They were looking for conditional use approval to allow for the adult daycare that's currently located at 201 Sharp Lane, to relocate to a 6,595 square foot portion of one of their commercial buildings there. So they did go through the hearing, presented testimony. We did draft up a few conditions of the approval, that they're subject to all permit applications that are required for the building permit, since they're changing use from a B use group to an I4 use group. There shall be no exterior modifications to the building, including signage, without property owner approval, and any proposed changes must be submitted to the township building official for review. As per the condition of this application and approval, no outdoor activity space was proposed and therefore is not approved at this time. The hours of operation are limited from 8:30 to 5:30, and there shall be no more than 60 members in attendance on any day. And they are to comply with all of the planning commission recommendations of approval that were set forth in their August minutes. That's a rough summary of the conditions of the approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use decision for the adult daycare at 180 Sherry Boulevard.
Second that.
Council questions?
Yes, Steve Pius, represent the applicant and what calls it Kingdom Buckman. We're just looking for a clarification of the no outdoor activity. We are not planning to do any programming in any outdoor space, but some of our members, as the adults who do attend daycare, are smokers, and others just need some fresh air. So what we were planning was to have a smoking area, which you would find in most office buildings, most places. Unfortunately, because of the type of people we deal with, some of them do have some disabilities in terms of cognitive issues. We need to fence that area. So it normally would just be a picnic table, but here at the picnic table with some fencing for that smoking, fresh air. The space that we're thinking about doing it is small, it's 10 by 20. We can go further, give you more information about that if the board would like to hear it. Capianca is with me tonight. So that's the clarification that we're seeking, is that certainly no programming activity outside, but we would like to be permitted to have a smoking area that, by necessity, because again, the use needs to be protected by fencing.
And is there any problem? Clarification?
So I did receive the email today from Capianco of Workspace, summarizing what was just said, and showing the proposed fence. So as long as they go through the building permit process for that, and you guys are okay with that, that would be acceptable.
Yeah, I think, after consulting with the council staff, that the council would not consider that the outdoor activity. What you do need to comply with condition 2, which was there should be no exterior modifications to the building, including signs without property owner approval, and any proposed changes must be submitted to the township building and zoning official for review.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So is there any other comments or questions? We don't
Do
need
we
anything.
Want to accept the condition, the conditional use decision?
Yes.
Oh, didn't I just do that? Oh, no, we didn't vote yet.
Oh, I just wanted to ask, are they allowed to smoke in
Yeah.
those buildings?
No, it's not in, we're talking about outside, outside seating area where they can smoke. It's permitted, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's permitted by the existing. I mean, someone could stand outside that building now, it's just a matter of, the question we have right now is whether to fence that in or not.
So I made a motion. I already did make a motion.
Okay. So, and we don't need to amend that for this.
No, it's already in the order.
Okay, all right, so any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to resolution 2019-15, minimum municipal obligations for pension plans for 2020.
This is just an annual resolution that sets forth the funding for the two pension plans for 2020. For the police pension, the amount is $388,401, and for the non-uniform pension, it's $194,500.
I'll make a motion to approve, adopt resolution 2019-15, minimum municipal obligations for pension plans for 2020.
I second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Moving on to resolution 2019-16, the PennDOT Down Forge Road winter maintenance resolution.
So the history behind this particular resolution is the township does maintain a small portion of Down Forge Road, which is a PennDOT road, just for safety reasons and timing and plowing, for winter storms. Normally we would just sign off on this administratively, but PennDOT has changed the forms that they're using for this and are now asking for a resolution similar to the PD 160 form that we passed at the August meeting. So, pretty much what this is stating is the board is giving me permission to sign this agreement and execute it.
Great.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2019-16, the PennDOT Down Forge Road winter maintenance resolution.
I second that.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. And then we move to resolution 2019-17, the Community Day Committee.
So, I mean, first we always want to thank the committee members and volunteers that work so hard on Community Day. This year was another amazing success and we're nothing but positive things. The resolution that we're looking at this evening is a resolution that will formally reorganize the Community Day Committee as a formally appointed board or committee that reports directly to the Board of Supervisors. The resolution itself does lay out certain aspects, similar public meetings such as the board and the planning commission, which includes public meetings, regular public meetings, appointments and terms, and things of that nature. Really just kind of taking the existing committee, which worked very successfully, and making it a little more organized.
And how is can you just clarify how the board was existing previously in terms of appointments and things like that?
The reason I'm looking at this is that technically the board did not appoint the previous members of the committee, as I understand it. Really, this is just adding a little more clarity to the whole process, and hopefully organizing it in a way that's more efficient as well.
So I know that there's some, I'm expecting there's to be some comments or questions, so is there any comments? Yes.
Heather Donkey, Uwchlan Township. So I actually have a personal statement I prepared for this and did not discuss it with any of the existing or previous committee members. So I prepared a statement finding out this afternoon that I was going to be appointed to the new Community Day Committee. And please understand I'm grateful to be selected and appointed and to stay on the committee. But I'm extremely disappointed in how the entire situation played out. On Monday, the 19th of August at 4:15, the previous Community Day Committee received an email with something to the effect of, even though Community Day was successful as usual, the board was reappointing or appointing new positions, and that you needed to apply and submit a resume, be interviewed, and then a decision would be made as to who would be appointed. So with continuing my statement, my husband and I were 2 of the 8 volunteers who attended monthly, sometimes weekly Community Day meetings, who volunteered countless hours to organize the Community Day event. With all the hard work and the commitment from the committee, I find it hard to believe one of these committee members called this committee dysfunctional. It wasn't said yet, but it was on social media that our committee was dysfunctional. Calling that the Board of Supervisors take control of the committee. We were a subcommittee of Parks and Rec. I'd like to know where the Board of Supervisors got that information, and did any of the Board of Supervisors attend any of the meetings for the committee? And the answer is no. To have the township manager, at the request of the board, send an email and dismiss committee members just 3 hours before a scheduled meeting was not only inconsiderate and dysfunctional, but it was downright mean. To be clear, I don't blame the township supervisor for following the directive of the board. Is the board aware that 2 members of the committee spent hours upon hours going face to face with Uwchlan businesses asking for all the donations that were given away at that event? And another question, does anyone know, does the board know of another member who donated all of the materials for the free craft event for the kids? Or the 2 members who donated the use of their personal popcorn and cotton candy machines and all the supplies, over 600 cotton candy cones and bags of popcorn given out to residents at no cost to residents or the township? And lastly, to the chair and vice chair who spent countless hours planning and executing yet another successful community day. Those are just a few examples of the hard work that was dismissed by the board. The amount of time that was spent by these volunteers was countless. So yes, I felt as though I was fired from this committee for no valid reason. And then to have our state rep, Danielle Friel-Otten, comment on social media that our group was quote unquote dysfunctional. All while this current board sat back and watched on social media, even adding comments, stating that we're just doing this to streamline the communication. So I wanted to know also, was Rep. Danielle Friel-Otten involved in the disbandment of the Community Day Committee? And do you as the committee know how many meetings Danielle Friel-Otten attended for this last event? The answer is 0. The answer is 0. I'm still just reading my statement. They're rhetorical questions. So did the Board of Supervisors decide to dismiss the previous members, reorganize, and reappoint new members because one of the members of the committee is running for Uwchlan Township Supervisor? Why was another email sent to all the previous committee members on Thursday?
Can I comment? Can I interrupt you for a second? Because these are not rhetorical questions. They're asking.
No, you're right. They are questions that I'm going to present and have put into the minutes.
Okay, so then I'd like an opportunity to respond to these
absolutely.
questions. So we'll take the opportunity to respond to these questions. And I promise.
Why don't I give you a copy so you can respond as I read them?
So I'll let me start off.
Well, why don't we do? Can I have 5 minutes to finish my statement and then you can answer your question?
I think I'm going to do it where we can go back and forth.
So I'm not allowed to finish my 5 minutes?
I'm going to give you more than 5 minutes. You're going to be able to finish. I'm going to respond to it. I don't want a list of questions and then I don't, you know, I'm running this meeting. Okay? So the format's going to be done how I think it's going to work best. And receiving a list of questions where you pile up your questions on me, I'm not going to be able to get all those answers. And I'd rather, if you have a question, I can respond. If you have a question,
Let's go back to the first one.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'd like to know where the Board of Supervisors got information that our group was dysfunctional.
So I saw that comment on social media. I did not have any discussion with Danielle Friel-Otten about how to reorganize, whether to reorganize. My understanding was Danielle was not an active member of the Community Day as of at least the end of last year. I am not sure when she stopped working on Community Day. I do know that she had stopped being an active member for a while. But no, there was no discussion with her. Where I received information about how the committee was functioning was mostly through the township staff and township manager, both the previous manager, Doug Hanley, and the current manager, Scott Greenlee, as well as Katie, who has a lot of interaction, Katie Churchill, as well as speaking with both current committee members and other people who have worked with the committee in various ways. So it's not something where I'm receiving it from one single person or anyone else receiving it from one.
So follow up to that is, was there a time that you ever contacted anyone, any of the board members contacted anyone on this committee or attended any of the meetings to address the issues you say
generally speaking,
over and over again?
So generally speaking, I don't attend the committees for, and there's a back and forth about whether or not supervisors should attend the township meetings, because it tends to put a weight, a thumb on the weight when people are deliberating with the township supervisors. So I do not typically intend to attend the meetings, but I do talk with people.
Okay, so the board came to a decision based on what they heard without ever actually talking to anyone who sat on the committee, who did all the work?
No, I talked to people who were on the committee who did the work.
Okay.
But I'm not going to sit there and name.
No, I'm not, I'm asking you anything,
And
so I'm
like I
not
said,
asking you
in
anything.
confidence.
Okay.
We reconstituted because of different reasons, whether even if you were operating at peak level, we're reconstituted for different reasons. We didn't mention that being dysfunctional. I think you brought that up.
And I'll say.
Bill just said that he read it on social media, and no one, you all read it on social media. No, Bill Miller, the chair of this board, read it on social media and did not question that.
Well, I will say this, that when I read it was the Republican Facebook page, and while I did comment to try to clarify what I thought was a misinformation, I'm not going to engage in a long conversation on a Republican Facebook page. It's not probably where I'm going to get the fairest interpretation of my comments. So it's not anything against Republicans. I just don't think that's probably the forum that's going to give the message that I'm trying to send, and I think it's easily misinterpreted when I'm on that page.
Fair. Then maybe I'll skip right down to, there were several incidences that occurred. I'm happy to read them, that occurred, and I'll read them. So both my husband and I were going to apply for one of the open seats in the Parks and Rec Board, and I was told, this is hearsay, but that several committee members, they were Uwchlan committee members, were talking about my husband and I and said, quote unquote, we don't want that woman on this committee.
I would ask that if you're going to make, if there's something that the board did,
yes, okay,
then please do that. Okay? If you heard someone about committee members, I cannot make any comment. I have no idea who said it, what they said, and why they said it.
I mean, I know that I'm just going to also respect those individuals and not say here this meeting.
Sure, but I would prefer that you not just do hearsay.
So the most recent one was what I personally witnessed from you, Bill Miller, the chairman, this week, was a quote on Facebook that said, wow, you think the Republican Party is the answer? I'm not sure where your head is, but those people are not on your side.
So that has, stop. So that has nothing to do with this committee. That was a note to Victor Kozone, who is a good friend.
It was a note referring to Republicans as quote unquote those people.
You have to understand that I endorsed Kathy Kozone for her in the primary, and she lost. And when Victor said vote Republican, I said, wow, that's what you're thinking. That was a conversation that had absolutely nothing to do with community, either the township or community day. So what I'm going to ask you, I'm going to give you the time, but what I'm going to ask you is that you reserve your comments to specifically what is going on in the township, which you're free to ask, and community day, and not everything I've ever written on Facebook.
Sure.
Okay.
Just want to make it okay.
Because if we want to bring up Facebook posts, we can bring up Facebook posts.
So my next question for the board is that an email went out this week asking to all the committee members, the previous committee members, asking who wanted to remain on the committee to reply back as soon as possible.
Right.
And I replied back that my husband and I would both like to stay on the committee, and my husband was not reappointed.
Correct.
So I'd like to know how the supervisors came to a decision as to who they're going to reappoint.
So my standard is this. So for the people who represent community day have to represent the community, right? So there's a certain inclusiveness you need to have. You cannot have social media posts that allow me.
Other people can, but you can't.
Listen, you asked me what my standards are for accepting community day members, and this is that. I will check if someone replies to any committee, I will check your social media posts. If your social media posts are full of memes and shared posts that comment on how certain religious groups should be removed from America, or who are enemies of the state, who have memes that have violent imagery that are talking about hanging politicians in front of the White House, I do not think that those people, allow me to finish. I do not think a person like that represents the values that we want to see in community day. And so when I saw those posts, which I saw, one of the reasons for reorganizing is when I saw those posts, the chair of the previous committee did not seem to care enough to remove that person from the board. And when I had the opportunity to reappoint, I chose not to reappoint that person, your husband.
Without having the discussion?
I don't owe him that. Okay? I don't owe him, if he's gonna sit there and have posts like that, that tells me enough about a person. I don't need to have a conversation. What could he possibly tell me that would change my opinion?
That it's okay for you to make posts about people, but my husband can't.
You can't make posts about broad groups of millions of religious groups now. Not and be a representative of Uwchlan Township when I'm on the board, no.
Okay.
I'm very comfortable
But
with that.
you can make those
I can
broad
make
strokes about Republicans. Multiple occasions. I'm thank you. You've answered my question.
I mean, I can, listen, I can show you the post right now, and we can talk about whether that is equivalent to me saying, you know.
You've already shared them with enough people, they've seen them, so yeah.
I do think people should, when they make public posts on public forums, should be responsible for those posts.
I agree, you should
Yeah.
too.
Okay. Do you have other questions? Because I can continue to answer your
No,
questions.
you answered all the questions. I wanted those, my.
Well, would you appoint someone like that to your board?
I would talk to someone before I would make a
So
decision.
someone is declaring a
He did
religious
not.
group should be?
You are saying he declared that, he did not. My husband shared a post from someone else that described something about a United States Congresswoman who called our president non-human, and that she hates our president, and he said she is from another country who we knew did something against our own country.
Do you want me to bring up the other post?
There was another post that compared Democrats to the Gestapo.
How about the other post?
The other post that said that if we aren't careful, that we could have another civil war in this country.
And that you would hang out politicians in front of
No,
the
that's not
house?
what he said. He shared somebody else's post.
These are just not posts that I'm going to have representing the township. And so if you can justify them, that's your job. My job is.
It's called freedom of speech, Bill.
I'm not.
You're denying freedom of speech.
You are free to speak. I'm denying.
No, I'm not. You're denying my freedom of speech.
Okay. You're not recognized by the board, but if you raise your hand in the next, I can give you a speech. I will give you an opportunity to speak. I'm going to speak right now. I need a second. I am not denying anyone freedom of speech. What I'm denying you is a position on the board. You can say whatever you want, and no one has stopped you. But you have to take responsibility for this. I am not required to then say, well, I'm going to ignore everything you say and give you a position on the board. You want to say anything you want, and then say I have no responsibilities for my actions, and then people should give me whatever I want. That's not freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is just that you can say something. Don't stop on Facebook.
I didn't say it.
Congratulations, you did it.
Oh.
Mr. Becker.
I know a little bit about Community Day, and and Harry certainly knows this as well. I was involved in starting Community Day probably whenever the first year, approximately 24 years ago. The whole concept was to have a non-political, we had an awful lot of Little League games going on in Lineville Park. And we felt that it doesn't always have to be a baseball game, and my kids were playing baseball big time at that point, but it can be a town fair. And we chose to do this in a way that was non-political in any way. We wanted fireworks, we wanted food for people, we had free balloons, whatever it was, but politics wasn't allowed.
And thank you for starting that.
Thank you, and it was a lot of fun, and I'm excited to be included going forward, but it was done with that intent, no politics. We didn't want candidates coming handing out things. I threw Democrats out, but I allowed them to stay for the event. But I just didn't want them handing out voter registration this, voter registration that. And so, that was the concern. We didn't allow churches. I've been Roman Catholic for 62 years, and I've got a lot of, Catholic college and all that. We didn't want one church coming over another church. We kept it neutral. And that's what the day was designed to be. Just a fun family day.
I want to say that we're not selecting any board members based on political affiliation.
No, I just was saying, it wasn't designed for that kind of mindset. So, I shouldn't say design. That's not what we set out to do when we first started Community Day.
Thank you. You know, and going back to some of the issues, you know, with the notification of the board, you know, it was commented on that we submitted this email. Let me finish it up. I'll certainly allow you to speak. I certainly would not have chosen to send out an email a couple hours before a meeting. However, we were not informed, the township staff and the board supervisors did not have a list of meetings, and we're not aware that a meeting was occurring at that time.
Hi, yeah, my name is Karen Bauman. I've been on the committee for 4 years. I want to say personally, yeah, we have not brought politics into the group. Maybe some members themselves might have had discussions back and forth, but being part of the committee has never been a qualification to be on it. However, that being said, if I know of somebody who is who's an agitator, who has made maybe hateful remarks, that makes me uncomfortable as a person. I know I've served with them, but hearing these types of things, it's very upsetting to me. Thinking maybe personally would be attacked. I want to be comfortable in the group that I'm serving with. And I want my people that I'm with to be comfortable. Yeah, we have disagreements within each other, but they're good-hearted, like trying to actually keep it fair. You know, we have people who bring up old things, but their point is trying to keep everything fair. Keeping, you know, all businesses fair, everything that's going on, that everybody is fairly represented, that all groups are there, you know, in our community tent. And just saying something like that, I mean, yeah, it could be better organized, and that is fine, the way it went about. I don't necessarily agree with the way. I think they should have come. As a matter of fact, in the past, we had made requests, and it's like been down the line, carried down the line as to, did this board of supervisors get our requests? Then 3 months later, we get an answer back, no. Well, why? Down the line again, 6 months later, well, we don't even get an answer. So having a representative would be a good thing, because we do have issues of things we want to add, and whether it's beneficial or not. But that saying, and I would feel uncomfortable with somebody who knowingly made hateful types of posts.
So I do want to say, I do want to separate out 2 issues, because I think, you know, there was the issue of how the board was notified, and the issue of whether the reorganization should have happened. And, you know, obviously, I think the board, the committee, when we told, you know, we tried to tell you the way we thought was respectful. You know, in retrospect, we've looked at how we communicated, and certainly the message was not received appropriately, so that means that we didn't send it correctly. And that's something we're going to continue to do more, and I do apologize. If you felt like that, I know other members felt that way, and I do apologize for that. That said, I think I'm completely comfortable that the board needed to be reorganized so that we would have better communication flow. Talk with our manager, Scott Greenlee, about how the communication flow has happened, and how, as you mentioned, things back and forth weren't flowing well. And we want to improve that, we want to get that better, and this is how we think we can do that. So I think it's really, we think that this will help streamline it. It was not our intention, and in the email we never said everyone was fired, and I understand, or that we were eliminating all these positions. I understand in retrospect how that could have been interpreted, but that was not the intention, and we don't intend, you know, we don't intend to replace everyone who was the previous. And we thank you for everything that all you have done, so. Yes.
I'm Michael Taylor. I'm not on the committee, but I have a few procedural questions that I have some questions that came up about. When was the decision made to reorganize this committee?
This was a discussion. I had discussions with the township manager, the assistant manager, township staff who deals with community day. I have we don't not just talk about community day. Obviously, in fact, that's a small part of what we did, but. I have conversations with them all the time. They have conversations with the other board members. And so the idea is, you know, go to Scott and previously it was Doug, and they come up with a recommendation. And
Did your 2 other governing parties talk with you about this?
I didn't hear the question.
Did Ms. Doan and Ms. Mayme speak?
We're not gonna do a cross-examination.
What I wanna know is at what
I
meeting
know
was
what
this
you
discussed?
wanna know.
This is the meeting that's being discussed at.
No. Where was the decision made to send out the email?
I made that decision with Scott in his office. I did, alone.
You made that decision alone?
To hit send of that meeting. Scott had talked about this issue with the other supervisors. That's how it's done.
And you made the decision to set up a policy?
You need to, I'm respecting you and not interrupting you at all. And you need to respect me and not interrupt me. I'm answering the questions you ask and as well as I can. Okay, if it's taking too long, I apologize. Listen, the way it works in a situation with a 3-member board where we have to follow the Sunshine Act is that when I have a conversation with Scott, Scott might have a conversation with Kim, or might have it with Dr. Doan, or might have a conversation with Mrs. Bauman, and then he comes back with a recommendation, and that's how we do it. Okay, I know what you're trying to drive at. You're trying to see that whether we violated the act, or we did not.
Well, I'm sorry. All you've been doing, sir, is talking for the board. I want to hear what these other two individuals have to think.
This is not.
Was there a vote for this?
This is not
a deposition.
It's not a deposition. It is a question from a citizen who's concerned on how this government body
This
is
is public
operating.
comment. If you want to make a comment, you can make a comment.
Certainly.
Listen, unfortunately, the way it works is that they voted for me to be chair, so I do get to organize the conversation. I understand they will have an opportunity to speak when I'm done, but I'm taking my prerogative to speak first, and then they can add later. But I'm not going to give up my prerogative simply because you're trying to catch one of us in a violation of an ethics law, which we do not violate. Well, whatever it is. Whatever. I'm not a legal scholar, but it's an act. So I understand what you're trying to say, but if you have a specific question about why we did this, then that's fine. But how we did it is completely valid.
If there's no more questions, others have questions.
Please state your name.
I'm sorry. I'm Karen Winter. So back to the resolution 201917, Community Day. What exactly is this? Are you changing the Community Day Committee from being a subcommittee to being its own committee?
Yes, so now it's directly appointed by the board and directly.
So it's no longer a subcommittee of Parks and Recreation?
It wasn't really working that way as it was. It's long since stopped being a subcommittee. The members were no longer all members of the Parks and Rec committee, and so it wasn't really functioning as a subcommittee. And it was unclear. That's why I was asking Scott how it was organized, just to try to get that information out there. It wasn't really functioning that way. And it's, I don't know how many members of the Parks and Rec board were actually on community day by this. One.
Harry.
Howard.
So the committee actually went through Parks and Recreation to then.
Now, my understanding when I talked with people who were part of the community today for a long time, that the way it was that it was started. Actually, you know.
Eddie Ranson and I were in the beginning. Nancy Toner was also involved, and then we had Danielle and Joanne, thank you, and then Harry and I. So through the years, I was the longest tenured of that. Harry was on for a number of years, and Nancy was on for probably 4 or 5.
I know.
So yeah, we've been
I'm not prepared to answer.
different Park and Rec members, of which I'm still on that committee, of Park and Rec.
And so we wanted to be able to make sure, so for instance, Harry resigned this year, there was no bylaw set up on how they picked the next chair, or who organizes. So it was kind of, in reality, what this does is make this committee like it's not something special here. This committee is now like all of our other boards in terms of reporting to the board of supervisors. This was the outlier. It wasn't like there was all other different ways to do it. We had one way to do it, and then there was this community day, and we decided that it would work better. We think it would work better, given some of the issues that we had with communication. The day works out fine in the end, but getting there and I think the staff would agree that getting that can be a struggle, and we thought maybe we could streamline that and make it more enjoyable and less onerous on both the volunteers and the staff, which is, it's not an insignificant thing. The township is a big stakeholder in this. The community day raises a lot of money, but the township also puts in a lot of money. We pay for the fireworks, but we also have to pay our extra police time and a half. We have to pay our public works people time and a half to spend the day there as needed, and as well as the numerous hours that the management staff has to do to help set up the day. And I'm not complaining about that, but it makes us pretty significant stakeholders in the day, so we want to make sure that this is as efficient as possible.
Okay, so it's not like a subcommittee, it's a committee.
It's a committee, yes. Yes.
Hi, my name is Matthew Landis. I've been on the committee for 4 years now, and thank you again for letting me continue that service. I do have a few comments on the actual write-up of the bill. Under Article 4, it says, members of the committee should be appointed annually by the Board of Supervisors at a regularly scheduled meeting following an annual community day. Could we put in language that says this will be done in August through July, since the event is in July, as opposed to appointing next year in September? I feel like a month has been wasted for planning. I know that this is a reformation, and this is an outlier, but I'd like to go continue year after year, appointing in August, ending in July, as opposed to September to August.
I don't know if it needs to be in there. I think you can do it in August without it being in there, but if the board wants to be in August, I think not having it in there gives you more flexibility. Maybe July turns out to be better. I mean, as long as it's annually.
That was something that we tried to work out logistically with this resolution, trying to figure out how this would work actually. Obviously, it's not December to December.
Right, it's not a calendar.
January to
Right.
December, so that's how we would see it working. We don't want a month lag time. We know that you guys start almost immediately after the first or the annual meeting, so we don't want any lag time.
Yeah, so the next regularly scheduled meeting would be in August, or possibly even July, if our meeting is after Labor Day, Community Day.
Okay. The other items are in item 9, it spells out specific duties of the committee. I think a few of them are missing. I'll try to go slowly. There's no mention of the community tent, which has been an area that we have staffed and make sure that there are representatives there. We have infrastructure people. We have social media engagement. We have a Facebook page. We do have a website that's on the town supervisors. We need people to maintain those and be able to post. We'd like to expand into Twitter, Snapchat, and other social medias to get the word out. Also, we have a lot of people who go out to community members for door prizes, giveaways. We have an annual raffle. I think some of these things should be spelled out within the actual.
So what that's what we did the kind of catch-all on F.
Yeah, but I think there's so many other things that are catch-all, such as making sure the water truck's in the right spot, making sure that someone's there to make sure the tents are put up in the right spot, making sure someone secures the LYA house so we can make sure that we have access to that, someone to turn on the water, someone to make sure that all the supplies are moved out of the barn. There are a lot of things that are in that catch-all that I don't think need to be spelled out, where I think these other things are vital parts of the community day that need to be spelled out.
So here's my suggestion, Mr. Chairman, which is, and it's good suggestions. My thought is, rather than try and do it on the fly, ad hoc, you obviously have some good thoughts. Other folks may have some good thoughts. Is approve this as is with the catch-all, appoint the committee, and then we can always come back with an amendment to add things to it. So it'll be in here and codified in here, but we won't hold up and we won't also be doing something on the fly and then realize, oh, wake up in the middle of the night like I always do and say, oh, I forgot that.
Because I think we have to we can't just make a change and approve it tonight, right? We have to advertise.
No.
Because this is a resolution.
You could do it, but I think it probably makes sense.
As long as that's an easy process, I just want to make sure that as we hand the committee over year after year, that organizational intelligence isn't lost between transitions, and I think having it in the document will make sure that doesn't.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. But I agree with Mr. Freed. I think that maybe we can come back and, after having some input from the board, as the committee as a whole, maybe we can make sure we have all these things in place.
All right, thank you very much.
Nancy, 116 Lakeview. I want to thank you guys for coming up with a solution that's amicable to everybody. And it's a shame this got to be a political thing. And it's, one other thing too, all these people, everybody's commenting about it. We put up a sign-up sheet. Thousands of people went through that area. We got one name to sign up. It seems like a lot of people like to jump on the bandwagon and whatever, and then when it comes down to saying, hey, you know what, be a committee member? Oh, you know, they don't want anything to do with it. I don't think it should be that way.
We agree, and I think what we've shown is that we want participation from the community, and so people can apply online also. And I think, and we've announced it, and so I think we're bringing in new people, and you can assign them some new tasks.
The last thing I wanted to add was, as organized or disorganized as we were over the years, if it weren't for Sue Bernhardt or Katie Churchill or Doug Hanley or the police and the ambulance and the fire department, which make up a big part of this community, it didn't get done. And especially Sue, for many years. I shouldn't have my $5 you owe me now.
Do we approve that?
And I just want to, a lot of the volunteers who have organized it over the years are here today too, so we definitely, value everyone's time, and it's a lot of time that goes into making this event happen, and it's, so many residents come up to us telling us it's their favorite event of the year. It's a really important day for neighbors to talk with neighbors and form relationships and strengthen our bond as a community, so we appreciate it. So, thank you. Thank you, volunteers.
With that, is there any other comments or questions about the resolution? I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 2019-17, the Community Day Committee.
I second that.
Any other final comments or questions before we vote? All in favor? Aye. All right, moving on to the appointments to the Community Day Committee. So we did receive, we had initially, just comment, we had initially thought to try to keep the Community Day voting members at 7 members. We got quite a few new applicants, and we tried to expand the number of seats to add new members. There was a limit to what we thought was a manageable number. So while we couldn't take everyone who, we do appreciate everyone who applied, and new members who applied, and also the returning members who reapplied, but we could not unfortunately take everyone. So we decided to try to keep it as a manageable number was to have 9 voting members and 2 ex officio non-voting members. Not entirely arbitrarily, but at least the returning members we tried to, I'm going to propose a list that includes all the returning members that we've accepted to be voting members, and then it was more or less arbitrary that some of the new members would be ex officio, but it's not meant as a slight. It's just we had to put a number on it. So with that, I'm going to propose the appointments of Matt Landis, Joanne Gansky, Bill Fagan, Tim Grant, John Gansky, Heather Dungy, Karen Monat, Barbara Phillips, and Gretchen Grant as voting members for Community Day, and Jason Oliver and Steve Brentz as ex officio members.
I'll make a motion to, oh, you already did? No, I thought you were just reading the list. I want to just second what Bill said, thanking everyone for applying to work on this important committee. So I'll second the motion of all the appointees as Bill read.
To clarify one thing real quickly, we consolidate this list by sending our thoughts to Mr. Greenlee, who produced what he thought was a common list. Is there any comments or questions? We have a motion and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. We move now to the Sunoco updates. Let me find my update. So there's a short list, but it's some new activities, some more updated activities. As of September 9th, which is today, the activities are at the drill site number 310, which is the one at Herman West Drive. It's about 31% complete with the ring process up to Upper Uwchlan. They're planning for a pullback in mid to late October. Drill site 320, which is the Eagleview Boulevard at Wharton Boulevard. The drill site is being set up for work this week to begin pilot hole from North Boulevard to Herman West. This is expected to take about 46 days to complete, 2,483 feet. The drill site up 360, which is the one at Shone Road in West Whiteland, up through to Devon Drive and Uwchlan, is still awaiting PUC approval, so no activities, no drilling activities are happening there. And then there's currently no activities planned other than basic right-of-way maintenance between Whitford and Devon Drive sites. That's the Sunoco update we have for now. So any comments or questions on Sunoco? Yes.
Alex Lupan, 103 Glendale. Earlier this year, there were 2 noise variances that were put forward by Sunoco, or EPP or Michaels or something like that. What was the recorded vote of the waivers?
So I made a motion to bring it to a vote. It was never seconded.
Okay.
So there was no vote.
So there was no action taken the 2 times Sunoco came in here?
No action taken either time.
Okay.
And they moved forward. The first time, to give you a little more detail, they came twice, right? So the first time, we said we needed more information. And they, rather than give us all the information that we would satisfy us, decided to move forward.
Yes, but the board never took a vote to reject that?
No, we never took a vote to specifically reject.
All right, thank you.
I don't know that that's 100%. It's not, they wouldn't take a vote to reject. There would be a vote, there would be a motion and a second, and if you got a second, you vote on the motion.
Yes.
They never got the second, so there was no motion.
Yeah, no action was taken. I agree.
No action.
Yeah.
Michael Taylor. So we're clear that, so there was no vote taken. So if there's statements that I voted against something on the noise violation.
Well, I'm trying to understand what you're getting at. What is it? Can you explain to me what?
What I'm trying to understand is what you just said. There were no votes. No motion that came before.
How can you can't vote yes or no unless you have a second on a motion to vote yes, and there was no second on the motion to vote yes, so there was no opportunity to vote no. So
if you said you voted no, that's incorrect.
We refuse to move it forward.
They didn't say they voted no. I think that was just made clear. There was never, hold on a second. I'm trying not to be shocked by what's going on here, but so let me just repeat. You get a motion. I'll try to explain the motion process to you because maybe you don't understand it fully. You have a motion.
Correct.
There was a motion. Sunoco wanted a motion to approve their drilling, right? To approve it. There was no motion to approve. There was never a seconded motion to approve. So no one could vote yes, and therefore no one could vote no.
Okay. Thank you. Got it.
Okay.
But our refusal to move
No,
it
I think it speaks
forward.
for itself. It's silly. It's silly.
Any other questions about Sunoco? With that, we'll move on to the announcements. On September 12th, the Historical Commission will meet at the Cadwalader House at 7:30 p.m. The September 16th, Parks and Rec Committee meets at 7:30 p.m. here. September 18th, the Zoning Hearing Board will meet to discuss 616 Westford Road, Christian Brothers, and decision for 529 West Uwchlan. It's also township planning. What time is that?
7 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock. The September 18th, the Environmental Advisory Council meets at 6:30 p.m.
Yeah, that's a miss right now. I think everyone had,
Yeah,
it's also the 18th, I think on the agenda that you have, it says the 19th. It should be directed to September 18th for the EAC.
If I can, I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about this, I'm trying to understand the semantics. I think I would add to the question that if there's a motion for a yes and it's not approved, I think that's essentially a vote against it.
Okay. With that, we go to October 2nd, the Planning Commission meets at 7:30 p.m. here. October 10th, the Historical Commission meets at County Wilder House at 7:30 p.m. and the next Board of Supervisors is here October 15th at 7:30 p.m. Yes. However, that is a Tuesday because of the Columbus Day.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, we need to put in and announce the dates for the newly formed community day.
But we do have another meeting this month. It's Thursday, September 19th. It's not on this list. It's the Comprehensive Plan Update Committee meeting. Those are open to the public to talk about the 10-year vision for Township over the next 10 years. So come if you're able. It's at 3 o'clock on Thursday.
Mr. Langston.
Hi, thank you. The next committee meeting, the next month, the newly formed committee has to have a meeting, but we're not aware of all the members. Some of the names you read, I have not met yet. So how do we meet without violating the Sunshine Law to pick a date to meet?
Work with.
We'll organize it.
Okay.
And then
All right, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, now we're going to move to the open public comments.
My name is Michelle Strayhorn. I came to the Township building on August 21st and gave you this letter and signatures, and here goes more signatures from our residents. We have a traffic issue that, and everybody had to leave because they had work to go to in the morning, and some have small kids. And I'll just read what I wrote here. I don't know who divided it, the state actually should have divided it, Dear Uwchlan Township Supervisors, I live in Pickering Point Development off of Uwchlan Avenue, directly across from the Milky Way Farm. Traffic has always been an issue for turning in and out of our development for the residents. Since our township has grown, it is now definitely an accident waiting to happen, especially having to not just look left and right, but also the turns from the farm and the strip mall adds to the dilemma. When weather conditions are difficult, it is not easy to make a turn safely. Please look into this problem to prevent an accident from occurring. Have you all looked at this? Did you get my letter? I'd like to know the status. And all the people here were concerned citizens too.
Okay. I have not seen that.
we did receive that letter, and I did talk about it with the police department, and we looked at issues that happened in that particular intersection, and were hard pressed, I think, to find any true issues. But it's something that we need to monitor, and we understand that there were many signatures on that petition, so it's something we're taking very seriously.
Well, something needs to be done. I mean, we talked as residents, and we're thinking if you could at least get the Milky Way Farm exit to only turn right on Uwchlan Avenue, and that exit there in front of Limoncello to turn right, it would be easier than having to look 4 different ways to pull out of there before somebody gets killed. And I'm hoping it doesn't take someone to get killed for you to do something. I would like to be updated on this, please.
We will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
On Community Day, are they still a subcommittee, a park and rec, or separate? Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Yes.
Yeah, I've been away for a couple of months, but a few months ago I asked about a task force, and this lady was bringing up an issue again about traffic and the whole thing. You know where I stand on this. Will you consider putting a task force together to look at the traffic situation in this township. You could have members of the first responders, that, you know, we need to find out from them what's available, what is allowed, police, community members, and address this issue. Now, that's the first thing, to look and see, is it an issue? Now, my perception is it's a big issue, but I think you put some people together to identify exactly what the issues are, and then look at what are the solutions, and then decide whether the district, the township, will investigate it and do something about it. Every meeting that I've been at, every meeting for 35 years, traffic has been brought up one way or the other. And being aware of it and monitoring it is not going to do it. It's not a police issue. We have an outstanding police department. You would need twice the staff, sorry, faculty, I'm going back to my principal there, twice the staff to do something about it, and they can't do it.
Right, but here's what I'll say. I heard your recommendation for a task force, and I understand that. We have looked at, I know you're concerned with Devon Drive.
No, I'm concerned with all of the neighborhoods where they're passing through.
Let me finish. We have actually done some work, some successes on what we've identified as high traffic, highly dangerous roads, 113 being our regular, Scott, do you think, or either Scott? You want to talk about the changes we made to the speed limits on 113, we didn't make them, but we got PennDOT to make.
Yeah, traffic, I'm just gonna say, traffic is always a problem in every community, and we have taken steps over the years, I mean, not just this board, but previous boards. I mean, we're constantly monitoring traffic and putting the safety of our residents first. So it's not like we're not doing anything. It would be a zoo out there if we never did anything.
My question has been answered. Will you put a task force together?
We have not currently decided to do a task force, no.
Okay.
We have.
Thank you, that's fine. That's fine. You answered my question.
So I'm not speak beyond that though. So, you know, one thing we do work with Chief Alexander all the time with identifying whenever a resident comes in with a complaint about their neighborhoods, he evaluates whether that concern is, he collects data to see how serious that concern is. Obviously, we all can feel something, right? But when you collect the data, then that can help you decide what's the appropriate path forward. One thing, I'm not going to start a task force where I start off the conversation with, well, I'm going to take all of these solutions off the table. Police are not the option. I mean, that's not even what I want from a task force. What I want, if I were to do it, if we were to set up a task force, what would have to be is open issue, because in some areas, some solutions might work, and some solutions might not work.
That's why you would have different members of the task force.
Right, but right now, we are comfortable working, and I know it's not the solution you want to hear.
No, I'm not, don't tag me like that.
But, okay, so that wasn't fair.
No, that's not, I came here for the whole community, not one street. You know, my street's a disaster. Something's gonna seriously happen there, but it's all over this town.
The roads that we've focused on highest are ones that have
cut through.
No, the big roads, 100 and 113, where we've had fatal accidents and have most of our accidents, most of our speeding. While the small community roads are dangerous, we're actually have a lot more problems, and I don't know if you can.
You're comparing highways to residences.
I'm comparing people dying on one road and not on the other.
You're comparing neighborhoods to a highway.
Yeah.
But we are participating in a regional task force. There is a task force.
Regional nothing. Township task force.
Well, the fact of the matter is that traffic flows from one municipality to another municipality. Everyone coming through our neighborhood, I live in the same neighborhood as you, Mr. Slimer. They're not all Uwchlan residents. They are.
Most of them aren't going through Devon.
That's my point, exactly. Yeah,
so do something to discourage them from doing that. Islands. Speed bumps, you don't want to hear, but you know.
My point is we are looking into it. We are participating in a regional task force to help look into these problems.
Yeah, Margaret Quinn or Margaret Drive. Could you just explain how that works? Because I remember I worked in Phoenixville, and on the corner of 113 and 401, there was a big problem. You know, when you would come from Phoenixville and you want to get on 401, you almost got killed. And for like 6 months, there was a man that I knew that, I don't know who he is. Anyway, he would count and he would watch and he would do all this stuff, traffic study. And then I guess he turned in all his data, and then there was a turning arrow, which then we fixed the problem. So how does that work? Is that from PennDOT? Is that from West Pipeline? Who does that? How does that work? Anybody know?
Yes, please. So in any municipality, you're going to have roadways that may be township-controlled roadways, while you may have other roadways that are controlled by the state.
Right.
And there are two very different entities in control of what happens on those roadways. We have a mix here in Uwchlan, like you would in any other municipality. When we're talking about, most people associate a state roadway with a road like Route 100, Route 113, but it's also entirely possible for you to be on what appears to be a completely rural, local road that is also a state roadway. Woodford Road being a road just like that. Most people wouldn't necessarily realize that a roadway like that would be a state-owned roadway. So when we're talking about doing studies and determining how we're going to control traffic on those roadways, it comes down to whether that is a roadway that's controlled by us or PennDOT. And when we have circumstances where we want to have things addressed on those state roads, then we have to go through the process of engaging PennDOT to have their engineers and their folks come out. When you're talking about somebody sitting and individually counting cars at an intersection like that, that is a PennDOT intersection. That's someone that they would have hired as a subcontractor to come out and do the count. Now, we do things very similar with our traffic studies that we do on our own roadways. We have a traffic study going on right now on a roadway that a resident made a comment about just last month so that we can collect the data. We did a traffic study on that same roadway almost exactly a year ago. We're doing a second study on that roadway so that we can get comparative data even. One of the things that we find a lot is that folks are recognizing volume and the volume of traffic that's coming through that may not be something that they were used to, moving into a particular area at a time before that. But a lot of times what we don't find is that the traffic data that we received would ultimately suggest that there should be a significant change to the roadway or the speed limits within the roadway. We look at a lot of things, the times that the cars are traveling, how many cars there are, in what lanes they're traveling, how fast they're going, what is the average beam, what is the 85th percentile. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the speed limits that you're used to seeing anywhere that you're traveling are based on that 85th percentile speed. And a lot of times we do end up finding that we're not saying that there's no enforcement avenue available for a particular area, but that area doesn't call for wide-ranging changes to be made to the roadway. But again, I think we're all seeing volume, and that happens a lot. Yes?
May I ask one comment? That data you collect, is it publicly available?
We're happy to share it.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, happy to share it.
Chief, what is the number again going down Devon? Did you say 3,700 a day or a week?
I would have to look back.
Okay, I mean, this was a couple months ago, so I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just remember that number. I don't know if that was for a week or for a day.
So any of the studies that we do, we are collecting that data 24 hours a day for a full 7-day period so that we can get an entire snapshot of that roadway for an entire week's period of time. And again, we will collect that data round the clock and get the counts for the roadway, the directionality of the vehicles traveling, at what times of day, the speeds, etc. We can see all of that data and really break it down to determine whether or not this is truly an area where we know that we need to make wide-ranging changes, or whether or not those really aren't suitable for the roadway. We do find that often, while we certainly can continue to do enforcement in those areas, they're not necessarily suggesting that wide-ranging changes should be made. The roadways are often appropriately marked for speed, and the 85th percentile is generally very close to that in many cases. It's not to say all. We certainly have areas in this township where we would say that we have issues with speeding vehicles. I can go and sit on, have officers sit or sit myself on Concord Avenue, and I want to say we did 67 hours of speed details there relative to the complaints that we were getting. And I think the officers wrote less than 26 citations in 67 hours. And take Eagleview Boulevard. We can sit there for 1 hour and write over 20 citations for vehicles traveling over 60 miles per hour. I would venture to say that, that is a significant issue that we're constantly trying to stay on top of. Again, it's not to say that every roadway in this township doesn't have people on it that will be speeding. What we have to try to do is determine how much of that is occurring and at what times, and when can we feasibly be there to address that. One of the things that I like to remind folks is that, in addition to the traffic concerns and us addressing them, we are still trying to answer calls for service as well. And we're doing the best we can to divide up that time to be on all of these roadways that folks have concerns with. And so we're going to continue to do that.
See, that is exactly what I am talking about. They're overwhelmed already. And I don't think it should be their responsibility. People get angry at the police then, oh, I'm getting it, it's never their fault. A committee would put together something that would take that need off of his shoulders by putting islands. Look at the other communities that have done that. Islands in the middle of the streets. And then people thinking, well, I'm going to cut through to get home faster. No, I'll just use 30 or 100 on 113 like I'm supposed to, not go through people's neighborhoods. So that's exactly, I would not propose that the police go out and give out tickets and all these things, because it would just end up, they would be angry at them. And I really think you should consider a task force addressing this issue when it comes up as much as it has, and we've got serious situations here in this township. The second thing, just to bring up, they put that electric timer on Devon, had a tremendous impact on speeders. Not volume, but speeders. That thing is always out. It's been out for the last week and a half. So I don't know what, I called the township and they said, well, someone's on vacation, so that's fine. But maybe we could look at the company that made that, because it's always out. I live right across from it. And we know when it is out because we can hear the cars screaming down the road. So thank you, that's all.
Thank you.
Please look at the task force.
Thank you.
Enough is enough.
Michael Taylor, one last time. These comments were brought up earlier, Mr. Miller, and yes, I am a Republican, you know that. But I was very, very taken back by that comment when you called me those people. I'm not trying to be political here. I am not. What I'm trying to point out to you, wait, let me finish. From the beginning of this, I'm just being quick, I want to be quick with this. From the beginning, when you came on board, I wanted the best for you. I tried to work with you guys. I think Republicans will work and help do these things. But when you go on social media and call us those people, I was deeply offended. I'm one of your constituents.
Honestly, I find this really disingenuous when you're standing next to a fellow Republican committee member who've called Democrats much worse than those people, and I have opposed. So if you want to do that, then turn to your buddy next to you and ask him, well, what should we call the Democrats? So I don't want to. Before you continue, does this have anything to do with township business, or is this a personal communication to a friend on Facebook?
No, this has township business. If you're saying that Republicans will not help on the pipeline,
I didn't say that. This post had nothing to do with the pipeline.
The whole article was about the pipeline.
The whole article, I know he had context. I had a whole private conversation with him that had a whole lot of context, and one comment to the public. And the comment was about the fact that who he was proposing to vote for. It had nothing to do with who pipeline. It has everything to do with what his message, his ultimate ask was from the people. And so this was a private conversation. This was a public conversation, and I should never have put it on Facebook. But it had nothing to do with the pipeline, and it had everything to do with who he was. I am a Democrat. I don't vote for Democrats, but I am not saying that all Republicans are evil or can never be a good government and participate in good governance.
Well,
and look, we appointed quite a few Republicans to this committee, or reappointed quite a few Republicans to the committee. There's nothing wrong with it. There's Republicans all working in the township all the time. It has nothing to do with it. This was about something personal, okay? And so this had nothing to do with township business and nothing to do with pipelines. In fact, I can't even remember what the article was about. I know it had something to do with pipelines, but I can't remember what it was.
That was the prelude.
But this is really, like I said, it's totally disingenuous because you're standing next to a fellow Republican committee member who said much way most horrible things about Democrats, so I can tell this is just a political attack.
No.
And so continue, but let me just put it in that context.
Well, then my question is then, what has this board done to enact Resolution 21725?
Is that the one? I don't think that's the one Mr. Toner passed with Mr. Doan.
Wait, have you taken any steps to?
No, because I don't. First of all, that's not binding on our board. I thought it was ridiculous that I thought it was a ridiculous resolution. I was involved with some of the early drafting of that resolution, and I went completely sideways as far as I was concerned. And for instance, one of the parts of the resolution which made me reject it out of hand was that it was saying that we should allow 50% more pipelines that are already in the ground. So if you have 6 in the ground, you're allowing that we say, well, we should get 3 more. Well, I completely reject the logic of that. So just the conceptual basis of that resolution is outrageous. So I have done nothing because I don't think that had a very good basis in reality. So that's, I don't know all the, actually I shouldn't say I did nothing because I don't know all of the, off the top of my head, it was a 4 or 5-page resolution, which I don't have in front of me right now. Okay. That was the main reason I did not, that was the major objection I had to that resolution. I was not involved in passing that resolution, that was the previous board, and I don't believe that was the right path forward.
So you didn't think that there should be tree ordinances when trees are cut down?
They're not allowing the trees back anywhere.
Excuse me?
I gave you the answer.
Okay.
I gave you the answer. Any other comments or questions? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn. I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.